self-esteem and confidence issues are very specific and personal to every individual, and they simply cannot be generalized for everyone in one simple video or even a book. So in this video, I will try to provide you with the general concept of self-esteem, what it is, how it works, and what affects it. The first thing you should know is that it is very hard to improve self-esteem on your own. When I say this, I mean two things. First, our self-esteem is not a static stationary, it is a very dynamic part of our psyche. It is constantly being affected by our inner talk as well as external stimuli. So if you're working hard on different self-esteem strategies, meanwhile you surround yourself with negative people who do not support you, accept you, and who constantly mistreating you, doesn't show up for you, judge you, and put you down in some way or the other, then most likely you will not succeed and improve in this area. Self-esteem is not what you think about yourself, it is an attitude towards yourself. And in order to alter it, you have to have both a healthy attitude towards self as well as a healthy environment. And the second reason I will explain to you later in this video. First of all, let's start by breaking it down to what we call healthy and unhealthy self-esteem. There are two types of unhealthy self-esteem. The first one, and the most common, is when you only see the negative aspects of your personality, or your sense of self is made up mostly out of negatives, disadvantages, drawbacks, and flaws. You constantly criticize and judge yourself on physical, mental, and emotional levels. People with this self-view often experience self-shame, guilt, and even self-hate. The second type of inadequate self-assessment is when you only see the positive aspects of your personality. People with this type of problem usually excel and exaggerate their values, worthiness, accomplishments, and manifest some narcissistic self-admiration. Now, people with healthy self-esteem are somewhere in the middle. They are aware of both their minuses as well as their pluses. This type of people are very self-aware. They know their drawbacks and flaws, and they accept those negative aspects of their personality as well as positives. These people have a healthy sense of self. They love themselves and promote positive self-attitude, self-acceptance, and self-support. They're usually very enthusiastic, energetic, active, positive, and happy. You can always recognize this type of people because it is very nice and pleasant to be in their presence. Now let's go back to the unhealthy self-attitude. There are a few general types of low self-esteem. The first type is negative inner talk, and it manifests itself in the form of negative attitude towards self and even self-hate. The first reason for that is negative childhood history. Maybe your parents or someone close to you were constantly telling you that you were not good enough. You are too fat or too skinny, or your nose was too big, you were not smart enough, or they were constantly calling you names, and so on. As children, we form our attitude to ourselves and self-love based on our parents' attitude to us. The negative attitude of our parents, the neglect or criticism, programs and conditions a child to develop chronic guilt, shame, and self-doubt that in turn results in low self-esteem. In this case, insecurity is rooted so deeply that the person doesn't even realize why he or she hates him or herself. He doesn't even notice the negative inner talk because the negative self-attitude becomes the integral and normal part of the existence. The second reason for negative inner talk could be the lack of mental capacity and resourcefulness for your life goals and accomplishments. In this case, you don't have to have negative history. For example, if you are setting yourself up with some goals, but the goals you are setting yourself with are either too big and impossible to conquer, or you simply don't have any mental or emotional capacity to accomplish them. So you get mad at yourself and you start calling yourself names like stupid, dumb, slow, fat, lazy, failure, and so on. This generates even more self-hate and reduces mental capacity and mental performance. It becomes a vicious circle. You can't accomplish anything because you keep beating yourself down, and you keep beating yourself down because you can't accomplish something. Remember when I said in the beginning of this video that I will provide you with the second reason why it is so hard to improve self-esteem on your own? In these two cases above, most of the time it requires working with a professional who could help you to basically rewire yourself, become aware of your inner processes, and develop some positive and secure patterns. The third type of unhealthy self-esteem is basically lack of self-awareness. Perhaps you are completely unaware of your pluses or your minuses, your accomplishments or your drawbacks, your flaws or your values. You basically do not know who you are. In this case, maybe you could help yourself with some self-help books. Get to know yourself a little. What you like, what you don't like, who you are, how you cope, what your strengths and weaknesses are. The Confidence Gap, for example, could be a good book for a person like this. Now let's look at what our self-esteem is made of by breaking it down into 5 main sections: intelligence, beauty, character, accomplishments, and charisma. You can use this table to get to know yourself. diagnose your self-esteem, and learn which parts of your personality are sinking. For example, maybe you're satisfied with all of the sections, except intelligence, so your self-esteem is mainly affected by this section. Okay, you don't believe you're an intelligent person. What is the source of this belief? How did you come up with this conclusion? Can you challenge this belief? What would change if you had this confidence? How would you feel, act? What would you do differently? Once you get to know yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, there are a couple of things you can do. Practice self acceptance or improve yourself. Now, when I say improve yourself, I don't mean stuff like plastic surgery. Plastic surgery sometimes means an extreme manifestation of self hate, not self love. By improving yourself, I mean, well, for example, if you feel incompetent at work and it affects your confidence, then you can get an additional training or improve your knowledge in order to gain some confidence in the line of work that you do. When I was little, we used to watch this cartoon, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. He was the funniest and the most resourceful guy on the earth, and he was able to pull himself out of the swamp by his braid. Well, he's the only guy I know who can actually do this. Everyone else needs help. Like I said in the beginning, we all wire differently, and there could be tons of different reasons for low self esteem. There also could be many different ways for how to improve it. You have to find yours, and you can start by getting to know yourself and practice self acceptance. And again, best way to do this is working with a professional therapist. And as always, thank you for watching.